This video is brought to you by catbeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. Before I start this video, I would like to give a shout out to my sponsor, catbeast.com. Catbeast.com is your one-stop shop for custom snapbacks made from people all around the world. You can design your own custom hats, snapbacks, beanies, and finding other great designs that suit your fitting. Now on to the video. It's almost 2023. Yes, some players who were super relevant from 7 to 8 years ago still play in the NBA today on their very last legs, clinging onto a roster spot only to get on the court in garbage time. Some will hold it down in the locker room as a good locker room presence and good vet, while you have 42-year-old Udonis, who's been washed up for a full decade. Haslam was actually a solid player once upon a time, all the way back in the mid to late 2000s. An absolute travesty he was still sticking around. Looking at his numbers the last 10 seasons, not counting this one, a whopping 3.2 points, 3.7 rebounds, 104 total games played, very deep in the bench Hall of Famer that is, while his first 9 seasons has been very respectable, averaging around 10 and 8 as a decent starter for 5 seasons. Just because he stuck around for a long time, UD might very well have his jersey number retired. He's somebody that nobody forgot that he's still in the league because he has to make his presence felt and make it known this is his final season, but who knows if it is. Trying to come back for another year and making noise before not being relevant to finally making a basket. There might never be another player like Haslam, there is, but today let's take a look at 10 NBA players you totally forgot about that's still in the league. Starting with Thaddeus Young of the Toronto Raptors, now viewed as Thaddeus Old, the 34-year-old fell off in terms of production after 2021 with the Bulls, very low-key a season ago, traded from the Spurs to the Raptors, played every one of his first 9 games with Toronto, still under contract till 2024, making $8 million this season and next. Most notable for this famous unthinkable graphic, one of the most wild NBA non-memes that exists, super specific details, tailored for the 16-year vet, a career near 13-6 guy, one of the more reliable role players, formerly with the Sixers, Nets, and Pacers in his very prime, solid all around, a good teammate, never complains, nothing to dislike about him, will earn over $140 million before retiring. Robin Lopez of the Cleveland Cavaliers, age 34, turns 35 in April, might have a brotherly Eastern Conference Finals matchup rivalry between him and Brook, two of the hottest teams to start. The 7-foot backup actually had a solid Cavs debut, scored a dozen points but played mostly garbage time, netted in single digits each of his next 6 games, will likely have more 0-point games when played than finish with double figures. 1-year deal for $2.9 million, the definition of a journeyman, played for 9 different teams, still productive for the Wizards in 2021. After leaving Milwaukee in 2020, his brother won the title after. Robin bounced around in the nation's capital, then to the awful Magic, could have been a backup for a better team last season, had some solid moments on bad teams. His one of the very few highlights early season, no-look circus shot over the Wizards, a good vet who might get into one big altercation with the opposing team once a year, and being Jared Allen's backup, already holds the record for beating up the most mascots. Now on to somebody who will beat up most people, James Johnson of the Indiana Pacers. Perhaps his final season, age 35, 6'7", 240 power forward, already his 14th season. Not many role players able to stick around that long. A tough presence with the intimidation factor, somebody nobody should mess with. Played 62 games last season with Brooklyn, even averaged 19 minutes. Out there in crunch time due to Steve Nash's coaching. Before fans complained about his lack of impact, way before the playoffs, Johnson's production took a dip after earning a fat contract with the Miami Heat. Johnson's experience and presence in the locker room can help keep the young guys in check, especially if they mess around or misbehave. Nets fans despise the fact that Johnson got minutes over Kessler Edwards and Blake Griffin last season. Suited up for 3 of his first 11 games for Indy, limited playing time, the journeyman on his 10 different team, almost impossible to name every team he's been on without looking it up. Taj Gibson of the Washington Wizards, who's still shockingly in the league, 37 years old role player on his 5th different team, so not too many. Spent his last 3 seasons with the New York Knicks. Of course, Tom Thibodeau loves Taj Gibson. Before taking a 1-year deal with the Wizards, averages of just 5.3 points and 4.7 rebounds in 18 minutes. mostly off the bench. Tibbs at times loves to play Gibson a little too much. Nowhere near the same guy with the Bulls. Had a 6-year peak from 2014 to 2019, averages of 11 and 7, a great energy role guy. At the very twilight of his career, after being waived by New York, this past offseason, many would love to see him on a team like Golden State to win a title. A guy who always knew his capabilities, never tried to do too much, good advanced stats numbers defensively. Bulls fans remember him for his incredible effort and work ethic. Unlike Carlos Boozer, Gibson gained love and respect from Bulls fans, from being a huge bargain and a relief of fresh air when the overpaid Carlos Boozer came out. At times, Gibson, the one that made more impact than Booze, being a tough-nosed glute guy, was still trying to chase Trae Young around in the Knicks-Hawks matchups the last couple years. Gotta respect the hustle. Matthew Dellavedova of the Sacramento Kings, a name many haven't thought of in years, now age 32, received a decent contract with the Bucks after winning a title with Cleveland, came back a second time between 2019 to 2021, very limited minutes, always been a good backup, but never developed into a good outside shooter, played in Australia before getting another NBA chance, 1-year deal of 1.8 mil, averaged over 10 points, 4 dimes with the NBL, and signed a 3-year deal before returning to the NBA. This might be his final time. His Kings debut lasted 34 seconds, played over 19 minutes versus Miami, a game where De'Aaron Fox didn't suit up, not expected to have many more games, playing nearly 20 minutes. Not the most highly skilled guy, but made the best of his opportunities by playing extremely hard. Some say a little too reckless in the 2015 playoffs, more remembered for diving for loose balls instead of having any crazy highlight baskets made, and not a confrontational guy like a Matt Barnes or Draymond Green type. His effort on the court itself, enough to get under some of his opponent's skin. That strong Australian molder, too bad he can't give any of that to Ben Simmons. Danny Green of the Memphis Grizzlies, at 6'6", 3-and-D, greatly underappreciated as the ultimate role player of this generation. Terrific on defense most of his career, multiple-time champion with 3 different teams. After being healthy for most of his career, all good things eventually come to an end. Age 35, already declined with Philly, suffered a brutal ACL injury versus the Miami Heat Game 6 of the playoffs, could be career ending to be honest. Signed for 2 years, 20 and 2021 on the Grizzlies now, part of the D'Anthony Melton trade. Despite winning a title in the bubble, Green continued to get massive hate for breaking the open 3 Game 5 in the bubble since it ruined LeBron's assist moment. Absolute travesty. Petty Laker fans sent him death threats and wanted him out immediately. 2020 Laker fans to this day still upset at the fact that Green received the title, likely forced pressure on Pelinka to trade him to OKC only for the better than the shooter to not fit in with LeBron. Green, a huge factor on the Lakers defense, puts pressure off AD and LeBron due to defenders having to respect his shot making, always being a threat on the floor, while this current Laker team, none of their 2022 role players a threat from outside. Streaky offensively, his help D was always important for the title teams. Those same Laker fans hating on Danny Green after Game 5 would beg Pelinka to give up everybody not named LeBron or AD in the 2023 roster to have 2020 Danny Green back. Austin Rivers of the Minnesota Timberwolves, super cold state, too much shivers. The 30-year-old already in his 11th season, already in his 7th team, had his hot and cold streaks. Some believe he got a lot of opportunities based off having the reputation of being Doc Rivers' son. Very limited minutes with the Wolves, his first 6 games just 1.5 points. Had his prime years with the Los Angeles Clippers, but those days are over. Spent last season with the Nuggets, 22 minutes off the bench, his most productive days long gone. Although he might have a random 20.9 once or twice a year, 1 year 1.8 million, the former top high school player with one of the most incredible mixtapes, now viewed as a guy who can score in bursts and occasionally get hot, can handle a little bit, pass here and there, create once in a while, but doesn't do anything exceptionally well, also undersized as a 2 if he's still in the league past 2023, bearing any crazy outbursts the next coming months, many will be shocked. Gorgie Deng of the San Antonio Spurs, one of the teams the casual fans haven't watched a single minute of. The 32-year-old used to be okay with Minnesota as a full-time star during the 2017 season. Many thought the only reason San Antonio wanted him back to fully tank after putting up single digits each of the last 5 seasons, perhaps left a strong impression in the locker room back in the 2021 season, but will still have plenty of opportunities to enjoy more baskets due to Zach Collins being out the next couple weeks, known for being a good shooting big. Garrett Temple of the New Orleans Pelicans, 36 26 years old, 13 seasons, another perfect example of being the ultimate journeyman. 11 different teams, too many to remember. Deep in the bench guy, will still be under contract till 2024, making more than 5 mil this and next season. His only season averaging double digits came at age 33 with the 2020 Nets. New Orleans filled with young, hungry, energetic guys. The oldest player on the roster, good locker room presence, likely will never play significant minutes again unless multiple players gets injured. Second year with New Orleans, helped Willie Green build a culture after being dead in the water. One of the current players viewed as a potential head coach, will be remembered as a good teammate, never got angry after losing his spot. Bryn Forbes of the Minnesota Timberwolves, very deep on the bench. First 7 games played, 2.3 point average, still only 29 years young, won a title with the Bucks in 2021, both known for outscoring Jimmy Butler in the first round series. Then signed with San Antonio for the second time. Despite being able to space the floor, the liability on D too big to overcome. If his shot's not falling, simply won't see the floor. Honorable mentions includes Dwayne Dedmon of the Miami Heat, who still plays a little. A name outside of Heat fans haven't thought of in a while, Frank Campazzo of the Dallas Mavericks, getting another shot after Nugget fans got sick of him. Rodney McGruder of the Detroit Pistons, and now the washed up Serge Ibaka of the Milwaukee Bucks, drafted way back to the Seattle Sonic days, still only listed at 33 but possibly older now. Thank you so much for watching this video. Which one of these were you shocked that's still in the NBA today? Is it James Johnson, who's playing for the Pacers, Matthew Dellavedova of the Sacramento Kings, Thaddeus Young, Garrett Temple, Gorgie Deng, or someone else on this list? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to learn more about NBA basketball, hit the subscribe button. More good stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.